good. Extinguisher Battleship was really good, putting this thing into play, killing a land or their best non-creature permanent, and wiping their board, and then being able to station it to have a 10/10 flyer, quite strong. So we were talking about playing Battleship basically with two different cards. One, the Trash for Treasure Ready package, and the other one being this one, Shape Anew. Shape Anew has been a card that has had a lot of potential in Modern for a very long time. This is kind of like a polymorph, but it targets artifacts instead of creatures, and it's basically a combo with Gingerbread Cabin. This is the main way to build it. Although I did build a version without Gingerbread Cabin that I found to be worse than this one. Although we may circle back to that build. So the idea is that you put a Gingerbread Cabin token into play, and this, compared to creativity, is not a creature. This is kind of the biggest thing, is that it's not a creature, so you can just target it and put it into play, which is huge deal because it blanks creature removal on like your token, like creativity falls into. Also, when you play Shape Anew, you can put creatures in your deck. In fact, if you're playing Battleship as your big hit, you need to play creatures in your deck so you can station it to turn it into a 10/10 Flampler. So there's a few like kind of interesting pieces here where we did play a Shape Anew Simic deck, but we're playing the Instone instead of Battleship. We were doing that in the Simic Birthing Ritual build, the problem with that was that you had so much card draw already in Simic Birthing Ritual that the Instone didn't feel like it was really, it was powerful, but it was kind of made your deck clunky, and it didn't feel like you needed that extra grind, despite it being a lot of grind. Now, what's also interesting to me is that since Shape Anew is, I think, mostly a Simic card, you could be 3 colors, but it's kind of weird to be 3 colors and still have the density of forest for Gingerbread Cabin. So you want to be Simic. So I think that means that you want to play Battleship as your payoff instead of playing Instone. The reasoning being is that Simic is really bad at killing creatures, so when your big payoff is an Extinguisher Battleship, comes down 4 damage to all creatures, this is just all of a sudden to turn your biggest weakness into having like 4 main deck crazy game-ending sweepers. Now, another thing is, if you're going to play Battleship as your big payoff, you need to play things that station it. So it's also really important, I think, that you play things that station Battleship that don't die to the 4 damage. So I think this is probably a good time to show you the other version I'm working on, and maybe I could figure out a way that this one makes sense. But this was kind of the biggest problem I was running into. Was that I was playing Ugin's Lab, and I was playing Eldrazi Temple, so I could have access to K Command, and then I played Null Drifter as my other imprintable, so I could cast it early, like 2 mana off Eldrazi Temple sometimes. And so like the biggest problem with this build is that Null Drifter dies to Battleship, and Null Drifter does not station a Battleship completely in 1 tap. Also, if you evoke Null Drifter, because a station is only as a sorcery, at least I think it's only as a sorcery. It might be as only on your turn, so we'll need to double check that. You can't evoke it then station it at the same time. So this was a big problem for me. Now, Quantum Riddler also doesn't station completely, which is a bit of an issue, but Riddler is also really strong card that survives the blast, and I don't think there's too many other options. Your other option is basically Oculus. And I do like that Oculus is a one tap stationer for Battleship. I've also been really interested to play Riddler in decks like this, a deck that just is has access to ramp and is just kind of playing it more fairly without the flicker stuff. I want to see how this plays. It is interesting that you can like warp it, station, replay, then station again. I think that's it. Okay, and then also this is a really good consult the star chart. So this was even kind of where I came back to this idea, was that I like the idea of Consult. Consult is also better in this version than it is in the mono blue version, because you have access to Spiral and Genesis to get more lands into play to kick it on turn 3, where this is going to dig you for your Shape Anews and also give you a source of card advantage so that you don't need to play like Instone as your big payoff. So I think that's the deck tech. Let's keep this on the play. Donnie Third Path Visions, good or bad synergy. It's usually there's a 2 mana spell that draws 3 when cast from not the hand that I tend to think is better than Visions for that deck idea. I tend to think it's better than Visions because it's just like top deckable and castable, and Visions, Visions is a very weak card. It's not really rocket science. I can't remember the name of it though. It's like a 2-mana sorcery speed impulse, and if you cast it from not your hand, you draw 3 instead. And we have done it, and it's, I don't know, it's a package, maybe a little underrepped. Yeah, see the truth. Reanimator again. I really need this counterspell or the snare. I think we'll just take the snare. Snare's so good against them. I was kind of thinking with all my snares, I'd be pretty good against these reanimator builds. That might not be the case. Oh. Well. We're playing 24 lands. I feel like I would probably draw one off the draw step or the consult. Not the case. Too greedy, probably okay. I think I'm down to subtlety this. Picture Riddler. Y'all remember Grief? They have main deck Consign, I guess, for this. Okay, they keep the Archaeologist on top. We do find the land, thankfully. Gonna scold the Archaeologist this turn, probably, into Planar Genesis. Kind of tempting to take another Consult. I think that's too greedy. I've sad to learn Blue Qatar isn't modern or standard legal. Yeah, I mean, I don't even look at the commander-only previews to not get disappointed. All right, that worked out pretty well. Counterspell. Counterspell Shape Anew is pretty tempting. Yeah, because if I draw the land, then I get to... Well, I guess I'll just play Oculus now. But if I drew the land, I get to have Counterspell up. I think we might be getting Solituded here, and that's okay if that happens. Not going to Counterspell Solitude. They do. They pitch an Atraxa. If they Ephemerate once we Shape Anew, we get to clean up the Solitude. No Ephemerate. Just an exiled Oculus. 5 life points for me. 5 cards in their hand. Resolves. They had a Force of Negation. Do experience counters not exist in Modern? I don't think so, no. Can't think of a card with experience counter. Obviously not a great top deck. Might be a game where we hardcast it, though. I don't know if I want to consult just for a land. It seems okay because we have the Riddler and we have the Battleship in our hand. Like, we really just need to find a land. Although, I guess I get Goryo's if I tap out for it, so it's not. Okay, that's an interesting draw. Okay, let's play it kind of slow. If they do nothing, then we can consult end of turn with Snare up for Goryo's. Kind of like earlier turn this game. We don't need to worry about Force of Negation either, because I guess if they hardcast Force, that's okay. Because then it clears the way for the Shape Anew potentially. Got obviously a lot of draws let me Shape Anew. Not that though. Let's go ahead and warp. Wonder if it'd be kind of funny if we just draw 2 more non-fetch lands before we draw a fetch land, and we could just cast a Battleship before we we could cast Battleship before we have the ability to Shape Anew. They find a Force of Negation, probably over the pest control here. That is what they pick. And then they drew this for turn, Sulfuric Springs. We actually haven't drawn a fetch land or Gingerbread Cabin this entire game. We're 22 cards in, and we have 14 of them. I just want to see. So population 60, sample size 23, successes 14. 98%. Honestly thought it would be higher than that. We have seen more cards with Planar Genesis too. Oh, actually, I think we did bottom a fetch land off the Genesis. I typed 13 on 23. Ah, yeah. I'm like, 98% seems so low. 100%? Okay, chances to draw 0 is 0.07. So 0.03, so it's 0.065 to brick like this. All right. I'm letting a Solitude resolve here. We didn't brick, we hit twice, we bought it both times. Yeah. Let me complain a little bit. I think when we hit the Surveil land, it was totally fine. You're right that it's like I guess, you know, yeah, I don't know exactly how to represent this. It's not, you're right, it's not completely this. Can't let that resolve. Gonna Force of Negation? Sure. They take my Subtlety. So they might be trying to hardcast Atraxa. We know that they have another Force of Negation in their hand. Why Counterspell versus Snare? You want me to Spell Snare Thoughtseize? I'd love to, but not a legal play. All right, let's go. We're likely just trading this for a force. I don't know if we could fight over it. Feels okay to fight over. It's like the more cards we spend, then the better our Riddlers are going to be. I think probably not. I think fighting over this is wrong. I still have like plenty of Shape Anews I could draw into that stay good top decks, and then I could just cast a single Quantum Riddler and be ahead on board here. And like it is just kind of possible that my opponent has either Goryo's Emperor or 2 Goryos in their hand. Just that just feels like pretty possible. Oh, my Yavimaya lets them hardcast Atraxa. I mean, I do have the Counterspell. But if I Stone Rain them, then they couldn't cast the Atraxa for whatever that's worth. They put a Hallowed Fountain into their graveyard, so they probably don't have Atraxa, right? Because they've been missing land drops. So they would probably want to keep the 7th land if they had an Atraxa in their hand. Maybe I'm misreading something. Sure. Yeah, I mean, I can play a Riddler here, and I can have double Snare up, which should be fine. Or Counterspell for Atraxa, both should be fine. Gotta save these for Emperor Goryos. I want to play this first so I could draw a blue source, of course. Okay, that's fine. So it's good, but it's, you know, we just gotta plow through that, I think. Do I have the 4th breeding pool still in the deck? It looks like I do. So I guess there's also the downside of me not being able to go hardcast Battleship plus Snare up next turn with this line, but I'm probably not doing that anyways. Probably just playing another Riddler. My opponent might deck themselves too. They're down to 20 cards. They do find another copy of Goryo's or a copy of Thoughtseize. They choose the Thoughtseize. Which I will let resolve, I guess, since we can still be double Gorios, and they already know all these cards anyways, besides the Hedge Maze. They immediately take the Counterspell. Def attracts in hand. Well, why did they graveyard the Hallowed Fountain last turn? They didn't play a land last turn, but they drew one for turn this turn. So like I would think that they would snap kept the fountain. But maybe I'm just wrong about that. It's untap. Okay, tapped Watergrave, second main phase. Probably play a Riddler this turn instead of the Oculus. Just more mana efficient for what I've got going on. I'm gonna keep up the double snare. This also gives me the out to maybe draw into Counterspell, which I did draw. Although I probably should have surveilled first. Okay, so if I graveyard this, I have still one Battleship in the deck for Shape Anew. I think you could maybe keep it here though. I think it's likely they know it's castable. Might be Gristlebrand too. Funny to have drawn this, of course. So they've got 3 cards in their hand. Alright, and they just concede. I do think that this matchup is better than the Grixis version, where like we're not playing Endurance, which I wanted to play, but the sideboard felt kind of tight because you have to play so many affinity cards. But just, like the lack of Unearth and Oculus feels really good, I think. We play 3 Force of Negation. Although I don't know, I do think that this package is quite bad against Reanimator. Maybe it's a little unfortunate that we played against like Mono Reanimator this morning, but yeah, that's probably just where we want to be. Yeah, Reanimator and Storm are definitely 2 decks where the Battleship is bad. Can keep this on the draw. Kind of weak to Frog though. Can I keep a hand that's this weak to Frog? Alright, this hand's not that weak to Frog. Do you remember the first deck you streamed? Yeah, I was a Dreadhorde Arcanist scale up deck. Well, if they have Thoughtseize into Frog, they've got Thoughtseize into Frog. Maybe we'll get Thoughtseize bugged. I mean, we don't want them to take the Scolding because that means they have Frog in their hand. Okay, good. Keep the land here. No Tainted Indulgence. Any free Entombs? Keeps the card on top. Let's scold that. Good draw. You're making me want to cut Murktide and Dimir Frog and just play Riddlers. I mean, Riddler is insanely broken. It's literally just good as without the flicker stuff too, which is so ridiculous. It's mostly this deck is you need big beefy boys, but yeah, I think with the Riddler in my hand, I'm pretty interested in trying to just trade 1 for 1. I don't have the Shape Anew in anymore, but I do think I'm still interested in. Sorry, having this enter untapped. So if I get Gingerbread Cabin and if I draw a land, I think I do want the 4th land here. If I draw a land, I can also draw 2, which is nice. Okay. I do think I like flashing back my divination, so let's just warp this. No need to be super hasty. Although also down to play this Oculus. And then also, like, you know, this with all the like planar genesises and growth spirals, I think the Riddlers play better too. This could not have gone better. If the Hedge Maze was a blue card, it was pretty good, yeah. They main phase Indulgence. They discard Atraxa. I guess I'm too obviously F6. They're missing a land. Wow, okay. Could not have gone better. Put us down to 7. Is Riddler's not doing a lot in standard right now, right? Because there's the VV Cauldron deck that's taking over. If I understand that correctly. Ooh. VV is playing it? Okay. I mean, that's got to be right. Like, Oculus is kind of easy to cast. It has better stats. It makes a bunch of creatures. Can find more Oculuses. Oculi. VV Cauldron work in Modern. Well, we played it when it came out, and I think it's like it was like the worst VV deck we tried. Also, like I look at the standard versions, and it's like Marauding Mako, Fear of Missing Out. You definitely could not build modern VV combo like standard VV combo. Like those builds, that would not be a powerful. No, dude, how am I only playing against Reanimator today? This is literally 3 in a row. I guess maybe we should be cutting our Affinity hate for Reanimator hate. At least they don't have the Unearth. Hard to say no to another Consults. Like in this spot, if they don't do anything, we get to cycle 1. Seems hard to cast multiple Oculuses compared to whales. We're looking for cheap blue cards, 5 toughness. I mean, I also disagree that we're casting 2 spells to turn that often, but I don't know. I think it's clear you don't want whale. You play Murktide instead.
What's up? It's me, your friend, Inspiring Spike.
Maybe they're not Reanimator. I think we need to hold up Snare plus Consign. So they're playing an Oculus, so I guess I'm going to get my last Hedge Maze, and I'm going to get 4 looks at a Subtlety. Have I looked into a Narset Emissary variant of Affinity? Nope. Could be interesting. I assume you mean the Jeskai Narset? Sounds like a solid idea. I guess I take the Heath, so Shape Anew is alive. Not feeling great about this resolving. Alright, so I think we main phase the Consults and try to find Shape Anew so that we could try to play it with Snare up next turn, clear up the Manifest tokens, and then try to get it to be a 10/10 Flampler to stabilize. That might not even be a realistic. We also find our own Oculus. Oh, they have Force. Okay, well, this is gonna be a tough one. Yeah, I agree. It's not Reanimator, which is I'm happy to not be playing against Reanimator for the 3rd time again. The Marsh Flats kind of threw me off. I thought it was Grixis for some reason. Is this Teferi? Oh. Well. See their last build here. Scolding is good against Harbinger. It hits Harbinger and Frog. They're boarding Ketramos. I don't know if they board in the Trespasser. I guess we don't care that much about Harbinger in play. especially if we can get a Gingerbread Cabin token and play first. Just maybe not the most realistic. I think I'm gonna play one Scolding over one Growth Spiral and just run it back. Yeah, so we can't play Artifacts Graveyard Hate. We could play Endurance. I was thinking that we would be pretty good against Gorios and less good against Grixis, and that would be okay. But maybe that thinking is flawed. Do you think large clunky creatures like Omnath will ever have a place in Modern again, or do you think that era is done with? Yeah, Omnath is still a playable Modern card. When we say large clunky creatures, and then it's Omnath is good. We got second in a Modern challenge with Omnath like a couple months ago. It's Omnath's still good, yeah. Date of the 55. Think you will come back? I like keeping Force when they're on Unearth. I don't think that they are Unearth though. Or did this build have Unearth and I just didn't see it? Oh, they are. So they had 4. I totally blanked on it. Damn it. It might be good then. 4 Unearth with only 10 targets is. They take my Oculus. And they surgical the Oculus main phase. If you play a Battleship on an empty board with no lands, does it... I guess it would have to... If there were somehow no lands in play, then yes, it would have to destroy itself. Phoenix down and Ketchamos? I guess I don't understand. Like, what's the idea that this is a artifact that can return a Ketchamos to play? That's not a question. This is not a question. Phoenix down and Ketchamos? Question mark? Question mark? That's not a question. It may be honest though. But sure is not a question. I think we will riddle this turn. Not going to snare a counterspell, I think. It exiles to remate, and exiles allowing her to draw a card, all for 2 minutes of speed. Well, that's 3 mana. That's a 3 mana card. It's still not a question, but there's some synergy there. I've only ever played Phoenix Down as a one of Bright Glass Gearhulk target in an Aerith combo, and I thought it was good there. So if you're playing Gearhulk and Ketchamos, you can play it. I don't, those 2 cards do have synergy for sure. They got 4 cards in their hand. Punished by the basic island, I guess. Dress Down does not scam warp cards, no. That was kind of an issue with the Eldrazi build, was that you had to play Consign to overlap with Neldrifter and Riddler, and then consigning your Riddler trigger isn't like that good. You'd mostly just we'll let it get warped and cast it later. It's down to 7, although with my Oculi surgicaled. Looking for a subtlety, I guess. Didn't find it last time. Get disputed. Very similar game to game 1. Katika with the gifted sub, thank you so much. So we get very punished from the island. We can't play the Shape Anew this turn. Okay, we need to take these 2 for sure. Next turn, we can play Shape Anew with Snare up. The thing is, they do still know about the Snare, which is a little awkward. But we can clear up the Manifest tokens, Stone Rain them, and then if we draw a land, we can also warp station the Battleship up to 5, and then cast the Riddler the following turn, maybe to finish stationing it. Okay, that's just gonna die to the Shape Anew. So we need them to not have another dispute or random spell pierce. We'll feel really bad if we get disputed, but what can you do? They know I have the Snare also, so they're not going to counter this probably, even if they have it. Oh, weird. I guess they just want to make the trade so they could like draw a frog. They also still have this Oculi in play, which is a problem. And then we have our Oculus is Surgical, so we could cast a Riddler next turn. We could cast a Riddler next turn to be able to block, but then maybe we get too overwhelmed by the tokens. Another Riddler would be really nice where we could just crew the battleship and kill them. And they have another Oculus. I guess if they attack, we could go for that. Yeah, I think we may just need to warp Riddler, YOLO, draw second Riddler. Because our Oculus is our surgical, so we can't draw that. We only have 2 more Riddlers in the deck, but I mean, just casting the Riddler doesn't do it, so it's not like we really have much choice. We do win if we hit it. So now we could hit a land off the Riddler, then Genesis into another one. Now we have no outs. If I was playing Essence Flux, that would be an out. All right, very close. One point of station away on the battleship. Bummer. Hopefully we can play against some creature decks. Or little creature decks. Alright, be a creature deck. Then we had no outs with our Oculus Gunner. I do want to keep the Spiral. Spiral's a bit better than Genesis here. Guide, Pride, play, Guide, Pride. One more one drop. I mean, we'll take the brutal 2 for 1 if we can. Second guide, Mockingbird, come on. Yay! GG's Ryo. Sure, keep that. Version deck uses Torrential Gearhulk. Gearhulk doesn't flashback Shape Anew. These builds usually don't play 4s. Yeah, wasn't too worried about it. Dude, when this happens, it feels so good. It just feels so good. This is turn 3 also. Very satisfying. And the Riddler can crew the battleship pretty well. I think it is probably better for me to station this turn and instead of just putting another one of these into play with no creatures for me to clean up. And I can also play Planar Genesis. Yeah, so station is only as a sorcery, so I can't station in response to this. I'll take the 3 for 1 though. That's, we'll take back-to-back 3 for 1s. Kind of a 4 for 1. I guess it's still 3 for 1, and then the Shape Anew becomes a 2 for 1 next turn. We went from 2 pretty bad matchups into good matchup. You want to play another creature? Come on. Have a treat. Okay, they might have a counterspell. So let's take the snare. Go ahead and get another cabin now. How did the archways that go? They were okay. We went, I think, 3-2 and 2-3. The bigger version ended up doing better, which was not what I was expecting. Is this March? Dang, March is really good. We could Surveil. I think I'm gonna gain 3 life here. There's not a lot to snare in their deck besides Felia, which I don't think they'd main phase. We have 6 lands in play, so 2 away from the battleship, a nice comfy 20 life, Subtlety Snare in hand. I guess there is a lot of Saga. Maybe it is a good metagame for March. I'm typically not the biggest fan of that card. If they do Felia, will Subtlety, I'm pretty sure. Because we want them to keep it and we want to be able to snare it. Maybe this attitude is wrong because like maybe they're just too likely to bottom the Felia. I also like, I get a creature in play that can station the battleship, which is nice. Oh, they do put it on the bottom. Is the last card like a Riddler? Okay, they are playing bans. Is this a ritual? An ephemerate. Okay, that's fine. So we'll be happy enough just to hit a land on top to hardcast our other battleship, wipe their board, and then cut them off green probably. And then we also have plenty of spells that are good draws. That's maybe the worst card we could possibly see, the last battleship. I think I am going to graveyard it. Now if I draw Shape Anew, it's so annoying. Okay. Not the worst. But Yavimaya. Oh, right. They, I guess, would not cut them off green, so we would target the archive. So, a blessing in disguise that we can counterspell the Riddler. The card is so unbelievable. And then because... Oh, I can... No, I don't have any battleships left in my deck, so... Just game 3. If they play like if they play a creature that dies to battleship, I'll let it resolve and believe that we will draw a land before we before we die. Hopefully they didn't top deck a counterspell. Seems they did not. They did top deck a Felia, maybe. Okay, pretty awkward that I don't have my snare up. You want to target my battleship? Okay, so my opponent's top decks were Riddler, Felia, Riddler. Ah! Kind of unbelievable. How are we... Literally, how are we behind? So stupid. Alright, let's find an Oculus, start crewing these. Alright, 2 Oculuses is interesting. Do I want to? So I do think we... Do we attack? I think... If we attack here, we hit them for 10. Then they... Yeah, I think we attack. Because then we could just double station and attack for 20 next turn in the air. Yeah, I guess maybe it was better to station the other one. Yeah, it was better to station this turn, sorry. It won't be that different to play like a Summoning Sick, one of these, and do it, though. What is this? Wrath? X equals 1? No, they're not playing Wrath. This is Mockingbird? Mockingbird. Copy the Oculus. Okay. Target me, or to attack me. So they're still dead, right? If I station the Oculus with this Oculus, they can trade Oculi and take 20. And I can do that all with Counterspell up. Doesn't seem like this is that... it's kind of... I can fly over their other blocker, actually. Okay, well, looks like we are going to win anyways. We even beat Solitude, assuming... I know I did the math wrong last time, but I think I'm doing it right this time. They can blink to Can't they blink ship to reset the cost? Well, if they blink the ship, I get the ETB again, and I get to kill their Felia. And I would be able to station again. So I think we're fine. Their top decks were crazy, but we even beat Solitude here. Yeah, if they, I don't think them blinking the Battleship was the right line for them. All right. Up a game. Gonna bring in the Scoldings. Subtleties are really good against them. Consigns are kind of good. I don't think we need to care that much about the Consigns. Yeah, I think we're just gonna go into Scolding for 2 spirals. Better than lethal on board, but still the losing play. Well, I mean, they have them playing around the other Oculus in my hand isn't all that good, though, right? Spike is an Obosh Quantum Riddler deck feasible. I mean, you, my dear friend, have what appears to be the start of an idea, maybe even a good idea. I think you could start working on it. Shape Anew does seem really good against them. I think we'll keep this on the draw. No 1-drop is probably not something for us to complain about. I do like seeing this card. Let's keep the Subtlety. It might be a little... No, it should be fine. Because if they go Felia into Riddler, we still have Counterspell / Subtlety up. Yeah, this is fair Riddler and Oculus. It's really important that you play creatures to crew the ship, and it's really important that those creatures don't die to the 4 damage. Riddler has just been really good, despite not having the flicker stuff, which is so stupid for a card that to be so good normally and then also be really broken with the scam stuff. You could also the other option is Murktide. It's I don't know if we do want to get 1 Murktide in the split or whatever, but that's your basically your only other option. Okay, they get a Plains off the Shepherd. Thoughts 2 on the deck where you put Cat. Oh my gosh. No more reading comments. So I think if they play Ephemerate, I'll counterspell the Ephemerate, but if they just play a creature, then we'll just try to Shape Anew the creature to death. They do get a Pride. So we need to find a fetch land off the Genesis, which we do. So hopefully they don't have their own copy of Force of Negation. Panda with the 26 months. Thank you. Welcome back. It's just so satisfying. So satisfying. Next turn we can go Warp Riddler, attack for 10. Want to stop this from getting scammed. We also could draw a fetch land and then fetch Surveil card into the yard and then Oculus Battleship. Okay. Seems like the move. There's not a window for them to break because they can respond to my ETBs off the Riddler with a Solitude. I need to be thinking a little bit like would this be better as a Murktide or not? I don't know. If they Solitude this also, we don't really mind so much. We'll just be very happy with the 4-for-1 and the 10 life, and they don't have it, and they take 10. They're down to 6. Or they were saving the Solitude for Ephemerate, which is also fine. I think a good move on their part. So we are up to 31 life. They have 3 cards in the hand. Let's draw 2. Definitely don't want to hard cast into the rebound Ephemerate. Yeah, I'll just hold up the mana now. We have our opponent down to 4 life. Don't think I'm counterspelling the rebound. I'd really like to hit a land off of my Misty Rainforest Surveil so I can just go hardcast Riddler with Counterspell up. But even just Scolding up should be good to hedge against another Solitude. Although maybe this turn I'm like counterspelling a Riddler. Okay, well, obviously I have to counterspell this. Love not making choices. Sometimes I say that it sounds sarcastic. It is just kind of nice to to have no choice, you know, just make the right play, obviously. So I could keep that on top and cast this and draw 2, but I think it's just better to cast this one. And then I guess we're just 1 mana away from hard casting that. Also, we should play 4 Hedge Maze in our build. So they can attack with the Solitude to not be dead on board. They could also have another Ephemerate, maybe. They have their own Riddler. Yeah, I mean, their own Riddler plus Ephemerate's really good here. Instead of Ephemerating the Riddler, they Solitude my Riddler. Riddle. I did mean to get a tapped Breeding Pool end of turn. Alright, see if their last card is a Consign. Boom. It is just like the most satisfying card in the format to cast. Do I like the new airbending mechanic? I can't remember what the airbending mechanic does, so I guess I don't love it. I like water bending, fire bending, and I can't remember what earth and air do. Like Flicker Solitude, Lester was wrong from them? Maybe. Well, they conceded, but I didn't have them. I mean, they're not going to win. Fair enough. They should put maybe more thought into the order they spoil things in. Because like they spoil Avatar Aang first, and Avatar Aang has firebending, and then it says if you do all of the bendings, then you get to transform. So when I see that card, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so if like firebending is, you know, like similar to committing a crime, like if it's like if you could do them all without having to have like 3 different permanents in play, 3 different permanents that all have this like special ability, you know, then it would be kind of interesting. But instead, it's like, oh, you have to have 3 other creatures that resolve and do the thing for you to flip Aang. So if Aang was spoiled after we already knew what the mechanics were like, then I wouldn't get my my little hopes up. I think I should probably counterspell Rumble here. I want to be getting my little hopes up. Being able to consult into Snare is, I think, an option I want to have available. Ooh, we could Moon Mist Aang, hell yeah. I mean, that might be something. Alright, so we're looking for a Shape Anew over every other card here. Guess we'll probably take Fetch Land, actually. And then do I Subtlety the Glaring Fleshraker? I think the answer is yes. It's really just hard to let them untap with that, and then I can try to consult into a Shape Anew. If I draw Shape Anew this turn, it'll feel a little weird, but maybe I guess I probably should have just pitched Growth Spiral instead of getting the land. Yeah, gonna be okay. They're thinking about top or bottom here. They also want to generate a conversation about what the bendings do. I guess so. Getting your hopes up is the point. You just have a competitive player mindset. More casual players are fine with needing at least 4 cards in play. I guess so, yeah. Alright, they keep the Fleshraker on top after some deliberation. Obviously don't love drawing the Battleship. But, you know, this is a build that can eventually cast it. They have 2 blades, so I guess I'm gonna be battleshipping a Grove if I hit Shape Anew. Technically get 5 looks here. Your turn. So if they play the big reach creature, it's Chrysalis is gonna survive my battleship trigger now.
Can't counter it. Is opponent's deck everywhere now if we're just tuned in to see me play it randomly? I mean, I can't remember the last time I played against Brood Scale. It's been a while for sure. We are playing against it now. You know, what is random? Like, I literally couldn't tell you the last time I played against Brood Scale. This is maybe the first time since EOE. So we find Shape Anew. Probably a turn too late. Since they're just going to have both of these survive. Didn't I play against yesterday? I don't think I did. You know, maybe I'm misremembering. I'm pretty sure I did not. I do play a lot, so I don't remember every match. You might be confusing me with another streamer. I don't know. Let's hope they mess up. All right. Let's go to game 2. So I don't know if I want to bring in Fade from history. I think I do want the Force of Vigors and I want the Consigns. Scolding also seems pretty okay against them. Subtlety seems kind of bad. I guess it's weird to cut green cards if I add Force, but I kind of want to cut Spirals. I think let's trim a Scolding, let's trim an Oculus, let's trim a Spiral. Could trim a Riddler. Maybe I go down 2 Riddlers. I think that's too much. Let's play one less Scolding. Someone mentioned Obosh Riddler. Okay. Well, no, I think you need to be playing Ephemerate probably. I mean, you could do this. You probably want to play Murktide Region if you're doing this, but I also think you should like straight up not play Dragon Rage's Channeler if you have Vicious Bauble. I think those are just 2 cards that like you just can't play Channeler without Bauble almost period. I would really recommend not trying it at the very least. Okay, keep this on the play. I think I'm gonna Graveyard. Totally fine to draw that. Aang's flip side is on the hill. You want to die on. They're making too much mana cheating. We just had a conversation about how hard it is to flip them. Well, I mean, I don't know. It is a big creature, you know. Like no matter what, like doing 4 things is gonna be hard to flip them. The card just went from being like maybe a really interesting payoff to being not playable at all. Although maybe Moon Mist Aang just is good. Like to have all your spells be free. Could be fun. Right, let's counterspell. No need to fire off the Force right now. It might draw a land also. Just hard cast. They have a K command. Two on the top. Would you like to play some 2-drops, opponent? That would be nice. So they can't cast Chrysalis anymore this turn. They grab Haywire Might, which has can hit Oculus from me. So I think I want to be able to go. I guess if they could have a 2/2 construct, that's okay. This also hits a spawn token if they make the construct. Feels bad that they aren't playing into my snares. They have so many 2-drops. I guess maybe I'm over evaluating it. I mean, they've got Rumble and Brood Scale. I guess it is just those. I thought there was one more. They play another Saga. I'm down to 16. All right, we need to find Shape Anew. I think we'll just go ahead and cast now. Okay, great. Now we can play Oculus if we don't draw a fetch land. We also have a lot of hits. I do think I'm going to slam the Oculus here instead of holding up my counter magic. The counter magic seems more important to hold up next turn when they can get the blade off the Urza Saga potentially. Obviously, like they only have 3 cards after they draw, and they might end up having the combo, but I think it's probably just best to slam. Another Urza Saga. Can they cast Emrakul? Where's this K command? Both bad. I think they might have been short of Emrakul if they had it. If we draw the land for Shape Anew, we get to wipe their board and kill a Saga, which will be really, really good. I think I might as well chump. Makes them make a construct main phase, which isn't really any different from. Oh, I guess they could float mana, make a construct. So yeah, sorry, this is better. I don't know which Saga we kill. Maybe this one to make less constructs. The other one is going to be worse if we. Okay, I just don't draw. I guess there's not really much reason to main phase, so we'll pass. And I think I need to consign. I need to replicate consign here. Well, yeah, I need to replicate consign so that my opponent can't make these big enough to survive Wrath. And I need to just top deck the. I need to just top deck the fetch land or the cabin, but I have a lot of those to top deck. But this makes it to where they only have 4/4s, and I can take the hit, then I get to wipe the board, and then they can't make anything off the Saga. A lot of cabins in the deck. They play a Cabin of Souls. Is that what we're destroying on the ETB? Like, just killing the Saga to stop them from getting Blade is also nice. Let's see, I'm down to 3. If they play a Brood Scale, I go to 1 off of the 2 damage from the Flesh Raker. Okay. That's great. So much action. Alright, come on, Gingerbread Cabin or fetch land. Let's go. Huge. So they have 1 card in their hand. We get to kill the board, and we get to kill one of their non-creature permanents. So they can't make a construct. I feel like we may rue not killing the cavern. They get a construct if we don't target the Saga by floating a mana. I'm a little confused. What you're asking, let me figure out this decision, and I'll get back to you. I think I'm not beating them having a Brood Scale in their hand already very often, because I'm just not that likely to beat a 2/2. So I think I will kill the Cavern and try to play the longer game. And because they've also already used the Might. I'm dead. I consigned their ability to make a construct last turn. So that I could set up for this. Subscribe. You learned something today. Yeah, I consigned their ability for this Saga to make a construct so that their things would stay at 4/4s. They do get a Blade. We might be dead anyways, yeah. If I had Murktide in my deck, this would be easier to beat. Top deck a Oculus would be nice. Even if you had just tuned in, it's basically impossible to know. What if you had been listening? which I actually I agree, impossible. All right, looks like we are indeed dead. 2 mana 2/2. In the end, too strong. Fun match though. Do you think this strat needs more proactive threats like Murktide? Yeah, maybe. I think trying to play this with Murktide is definitely an option. Okay, on the draw. Let's find a Shape Anew sooner rather than later. So we get to surveil this turn since we ain't snaring. They kept a one-lander? Oh, how I yearn to battleship them. I guess they could be surveilling. Okay, they have the surveilling. I yearn to battleship them. The Graveyard of Fable. Didn't know people still played that one. Okay, definitely graveyarding that. I would probably keep a fetch land or just a land. If they made a construct, you go to 1 and can't fetch, so it was bad. Yeah, I think you're right about that. So they probably don't have, they're probably not playing a creature this turn if they're just attacking like this. Maybe their hand is all removal and I don't know. I think I'm going to go ahead and let that resolve and then Planar Genesis here. Okay, then let's grab this Shape Anew. And then we do need to find another forest or another cabin. Okay. So I was definitely, it would have been nice to have drawn a blue source this turn so I could have Counterspell up, but I don't think we can complain too much about this. They did miss a land drop last turn, although here's one this turn. Okay, so the Shape Anew is going to get to clean up their board. I think we might as well consult. I guess we probably should have consulted in response to Fable, though. So we're taking 4, then 3 more, so we're going to go down to 9, all said and done. And then I don't know what non-creature permanent we're blowing up. I don't know. I guess I'm taking Verdant Catacombs because we do need another blue source. Although it may just end up being another Shape Anew. So yeah, I guess okay, we'll cast the Shape Anew. I think I'm targeting Bombardment since I have another creature sweeper. Could you have not hit a land, Misty or Island from Riddler to stay alive? No, I mean there's no land that saves me. If I can't sack Gingerbread Cabin off of 1 mana, right? What about last turn? They discard a Flage. Do they have the red source? They have been missing land drops. Thankfully they missed. They do cast Invasion of Goba Khan. Not a card I've seen in quite some time. A card I'm very happy to see though. I'm very happy to see. They exiled my Quantum Riddler. So yeah, I want to wait a turn on the Shape Anew so I can clear up the backside of Fable. I want to hold up Counterspell. I might end up wanting to Shape Anew my own Battleship, so I could potentially gain 3 life off of another clue token this game. Don't know how likely that's going to be, I guess. Although I guess I would need to do that also to have Counterspell up next turn. So they have their 4th land, but they don't have their red source. I guess I let this resolve. Do I consult? I don't really see like much reason to consult. What am I even looking for? I don't know what I'm looking for. What do I want in life? I want that. Dude, it just feels like you're smashing the table every time you do this. It's so cool. It's just like... oh, it's so good. It's so good. We get to attack for 10 next turn. Counterspell up. Ugh. Alright, so I'm going to bring in the Scoldings. Against Mardu, I don't need to be worried about Blood Moon, really. I guess they have Gobakon, they have Fable. I'm gonna bring in like one Force of Vigor. Also, it's Bombardment, obviously. I think I'm gonna trim one Riddler, one Consult, one Subtlety. I think I do want the spirals. We do have a spiral. I think I'm gonna keep this. I don't like that not having the one drop, but it does seem like, you know, we have the potential to turn through Shape Anew. If we draw it, we get some surveils along the way. We have Consult to dig. I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick. All right, that's fine. We might have a scary 3-drop or something. Don't need another one of those. They did get a basic planes. They might have Blood Moon. Okay, just in a Johnny. Alright, let's see if we find Snare or Subtlety. No, but we do find Shape Anew, which is better. Although I guess we do have to kill the Ajani with the battleship, which is fine, I guess. Is that right? Is it ever maybe better to kill Bombardment? I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, this seems fine. You've got Subtlety up, and then next turn we can go Riddler attack for 10. Not as good of a battleship, but still pretty good play this turn, I think. Okay, Invasion of Gobakon is gonna probably stop me from crewing my battleship next turn. They take the Subtlety though instead, so maybe they have another Ajani. You can't shoot this with, like, yeah, you have to attack it. It's kind of weird they never made. Wait, oh, you can Lightning Bolt. That's right. I totally forgot how this card plays. But then they don't. Isn't it weird they didn't make any more battles? I liked Battle. Okay. So 3-2 that league, definitely like a solid showing for the archetype. I am interested in like playing a version with Murktide, maybe. I mean, I did like the Riddlers, but maybe the fact that Murktide immediately crews the battleship makes it better. But also, like, this is an archetype that's more interested in card advantage. That being said, if you want to see more battleshipping, I think this is going to be a good time to play the updated Trash for Treasure build. This is something we played pretty early in the EOE.